What's happening, my Jack family? Coach Scott here, jacked40.com. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through how to set up your caloric intake and macro targets to get shredded after 40. If you enjoy this video and find it helpful, please hit that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that alert button so you're notified each time I upload a video. More than anything, I would love to hear from you down in the comment section below. Share your thoughts, share your insights, and if you have questions or anything you need help with, be sure to drop a comment down below. Your caloric intake is at the top of the hierarchy of importance when it comes to getting shredded after 40. So we're going to start there, and to give you a target to aim for at the beginning of your fat loss journey, I've got a calculator tool over on my website. You'll enter in your age, height, and weight. That's going to give you your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. So basically how many calories your body would burn doing like nothing throughout the day. Then you're going to enter in your activity factor. If you're like most of the men over 40 watching this channel, you work out, you're fairly active, so you train maybe 4, 5, 6 days per week, and maybe you walk and do some other activities throughout the day. I would select the moderate activity level for most men over 40 who are watching this video right now. It's a good starting point from here, and that's going to give you your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure, and that would be how much you would consume roughly, it's an estimation, to maintain your body weight. So if you are aiming to get shredded after 40, what I'd recommend as a starting point is to subtract 500 calories from that. So this is just a starting point. From here, we're going to evaluate how your body responds on a daily and, more important, a weekly basis. Now, this first week in a fat loss phase, you're going to lose usually a little bit quicker than normal, especially if you've been either at maintenance, and definitely if you've been consuming in a surplus up to this point. So I wouldn't make any changes based on that first week, because you're definitely going to see some more rapid fat loss in that first week. I'd be paying more attention to the second week and third week to how your body is responding to this caloric target, and we'll get to what you should be aiming for later in this video. Right now, let's take a look at the macronutrient breakdowns that you should be aiming for. As a general guideline to set your macro targets to get shredded after 40, I first recommend looking at protein and aiming for 1 gram of protein per pound body weight. So if you weigh 170 pounds, you'd aim for consuming 170 grams of protein each day. For fat, I recommend 0.3 grams per pound body weight, and then the rest of your calories would come from carbohydrates. Once again, this is just a starting point, something to aim for, something to build upon. Now, there is no magic macronutrient target to aim for. If you look at all the diets across the board, you get the keto diet that is very low carbohydrate, usually around 5% carbs, 20% protein, and the rest from fat. You've got on the other end, the extreme end, a high carb diet. Then you've got the zone diet. You've got carb cycling diets where your macronutrient ratios are going to vary throughout the week. So the thing is, people are experiencing success on all of those approaches out there. So there is no single macronutrient target that is going to be best for everybody. The key is finding a macronutrient ratio that works best for you, something that's going to allow you to stick to your diet over the long term, something that works more with your natural eating tendencies. That's what we're going to get to next. What I do with my one-on-one coaching clients when they first start with me is to have them focus on just hitting their caloric target each and every day, and I keep an eye on their food diaries to see if there is any kind of trend with the macronutrient ratios that they're consuming, and to just get an idea of their natural eating tendencies and how we can build upon that and improve upon that. Now, some of them have a difficult time hitting a 1 gram per pound body weight protein target, and that is fine. There is no, it's a starting point. It's something that's kind of been ingrained in us as a culture to aim for that 1 gram per pound body weight, but don't feel like you absolutely have to hit that number. Some would say hit 1 gram per pound lean body weight, but basically just you don't need to obsess. As long as you're getting an adequate amount of protein, you're just fine. But really want you to pay attention to how you feel at the end of each day. So maybe if you have a day where your carbohydrate intake is higher, you feel more energetic, your performance during your workouts is better, you may be better off having your carbs a little bit higher and kind of dialing back the fat a little bit. And when it comes to fat intake, it's really important to pay attention to how you're feeling and your overall well-being, especially when that number starts to get close to that 20% of your total daily caloric intake or lower than that, especially for us guys over 40. If you start getting below 20% of your daily caloric intake coming from fat, it can have an impact on your testosterone level. So paying attention to your mood, how well you're sleeping, your sex drive, all of those things can be impacted if you start getting below 20% of your daily caloric intake coming from fat. So little things to pay attention there, and just overall satiety. Like, you may find you're more satisfied when your fat intake is higher, or you may find you're more satisfied when your protein intake is higher. So this is what's most important. It's you as an individual. Forget about what all the gurus are saying out there, what a book says that the ideal macronutrient ratio is. It's having a keen sense of awareness to how you are responding personally to a certain macronutrient ratio. And don't feel like you have to hit the exact macronutrient ratio each and every day. I never hit the exact macronutrient ratio each and every day. I may be in the ballpark, but a lot of it's going to depend on the structure of the meal that I have at dinner. Now, 3 meals I have each and every day, so I know exactly what my calories and macronutrients are going to be before I consume dinner. But dinner, if I'm having chicken, veggies, and rice, my macronutrient ratio at the end of the day is going to be different than if my dinner is made up of a big piece of salmon, sweet potato, and veggies. And it could be different if I have Taco Tuesday. That macronutrient ratio for that meal is going to be different. And although the macronutrient ratio may be different each of those days, I'm still making the exact same kind of progress towards my goal of getting shredded after 40 each of those days, because I am focused on the top of the hierarchy for fat loss, and that is the caloric target. So as long as I am hitting my caloric target of 2,000 calories each and every day when trying to get shredded, that is what's most important to me. So now let's take a look at how to adjust your calories and macros as you go through this journey of getting shredded after 40. And first of all, like with the macros, it really just comes down to your heightened sense of awareness. If you feel that you are feeling better and performing better with a higher carb intake, if you find that you can't quite hit that 1 gram per protein body weight, it's okay. Adjust your calories, adjust your macronutrient ratio to what suits you best, where you're feeling your best and performing your best, and try to stay within that ballpark most of the time, but not be afraid to have a day where you do go off of that ratio. That is more than fine as long as you're hitting your caloric target each and every day. If you're finding that you are really hungry at the end of the day and your fat intake is a bit higher, if it's around 30% of your total calories for the day, it's a lot easier to remove some of that fat. So you've got your carbs and protein, it's 4 calories per gram, whereas fat, it's 9 calories per gram. So if you eliminate 10 grams of fat, that's 90 calories that you can consume, 90 calories worth of carbs or protein, and that's going to be more voluminous food that you can consume. So some people do find it's a little easier to kind of remove your calories from fat, but just be careful not to go too much below. Like try to stay above 20% above of your total calories when it comes to fat. Towards the end, if it does get challenging, it's okay to temporarily dip below that, but be very cautious. Have that heightened sense of awareness to how your overall well-being is during that point. When it comes to adjusting your calories, so targets to aim for, what I like to aim for in the beginning. I like to be a lot more aggressive with my deficit in the beginning when I have more body fat. So when you're carrying around more body fat at the beginning of a fat loss phase, trying to get shredded after 40, your likelihood of losing muscle mass is less. So you can be a bit more aggressive. And I like to aim for losing 1 pound per body weight at the 1 pound, 1% of my body weight each week in the initial phases of a initial start of a cutting phase there. So if you weigh 200 pounds, 1% of your body weight is losing 2 pounds per week in the beginning of a cutting phase. As you get leaner, once you get around 10% body fat, this is where you're going to start running the risk of losing some muscle mass if you're a bit too aggressive with your diet. So usually at that point, I like to aim for about 5%, 0.5% of my total body weight loss per week. So if you weigh 200 pounds, again, it's going to be 1 pound per week where you are aiming to lose towards that end, just to ensure that you are preserving your muscle mass. So it's great to be a little bit more aggressive in the beginning, aiming to lose 1% of your body weight, because it's motivating. You see the fat coming off, and you get that sense of victory and accomplishment, and you don't run that risk of losing muscle mass in the beginning. But then as you get towards the end, you want to slow things down so you preserve your muscle mass in the process. So again, this is where that initial calculation is just an estimate. What's most important is the feedback, how your body is responding to that target. So you take your TDEE in the beginning, you subtract 500 calories from that. That first week, you're going to lose more than normal. So go more based on the second week when things should have leveled off a bit. So in the beginning, you're aiming to lose that 1% of your total body weight. If you're 200 pounds, you're going to be aiming to lose 2 pounds per week. If you lose more than that, you get to bump up your calories. You maybe only need to subtract 400 calories from that deficit in order to hit that 2 pound per week of weight loss. If you didn't lose the 2 pounds per week, then you need to be a little bit more aggressive with your deficit. And maybe instead of subtracting 500, you have to subtract 600 calories in order to hit your 2 pound per week target. Now, as I mentioned, as you're going through this fat loss process, you're getting leaner, you're getting closer to 10% body fat. And you still want to continue pushing to get even more shredded after 40, you're going to want to slow down the process a bit. So you want to aim for 0.5% fat loss. If you start off at this point, you're less than 200 pounds, but you're going to aim for that 0.5% fat loss. And so say it's about 1 pound that you want to lose per week. Now, it may naturally slow down to that point. That's often what happens. You see faster fat loss in the beginning, and it starts to slow down, and that's your body adapting. You weigh less. So if you drop 20 pounds throughout this journey, your TDEE, if you plug those numbers in, you drop that 20 pounds, you calculate it at your initial weight, you calculate it now 20 pounds lighter, it could be a 200 calorie difference. So maybe you started with a 500 calorie deficit. It's no longer a 500 calorie deficit at this point. It's actually only a 300 calorie deficit because you weigh less. So you naturally are going to slow down that process. But if you're still losing more than that 0.5% of your body weight at this point, you'll want to bump up your calories a little bit more at that point, just to make sure that you are preserving your muscle mass. So that's how I would adjust my calories throughout this process. Again, I like to be aggressive in the beginning because you have more body fat, you're less likely to lose muscle mass. It's more rewarding in the beginning, and then towards the end, you slow it down. And the other thing I like about slowing it down towards the end is you're bringing your calories up, the deficit is less and less, you're getting close to maintenance. You're getting close to consuming the amount of calories that you would consume to maintain your weight. So you're getting more comfortable with what life is going to be like afterwards. And once you hit your goal, again, I like to slowly bump it up to that maintenance level of calories. Just like to kind of ramp up as I like to be more aggressive in the beginning and then get myself closer to maintenance at the end. You're just setting the stage for long-term success. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that alert button so you're notified each time I upload a video. More than anything, I would love to hear from you down in the comment section below. Share your feedback, share your insights. Let me know what you think of today's video. Let me know if you have any questions. If you need any help, I am here for you. And before you go, don't forget to download your free guide, Jacked After 40. I hope you have yourself an absolutely amazing day. Catch you in the next video.